A local 20-year-old man is going on trial for murder, accused in a drunk driving crash that killed 2 of his friends and hurt 2 others. It's our top story right here on the 4. I'm Heather Myers.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. CBS 8's Kelly Hessedal has been in the courtroom all day for Christopher Schmittel's preliminary hearing. It was there as the judge issued his ruling just a couple of hours ago. Kelly?
That's right, and it was a very emotional day in court. Now, that crash happened exactly 1 year ago. The defendant will stand trial on second-degree murder charges, as you mentioned, which is somewhat unusual, especially considering the defendant doesn't have any prior DUIs. Now, we heard from one of the survivors of the crash today. He is just 19 years old. He said Schmittel took drugs that night. He was taking mushrooms, that he'd been drinking before getting behind the wheel. That survivor says that he woke up as he was being pulled from the wrecked car.
They had to cut the door off because it was stuck and cut my seatbelt and pulled me out. My ankle hurt really bad and my entire leg. And I had cuts all over on my chin. I had 18 hours of surgery for a broken femur, hip, ankle, and internal bleeding in my stomach.
Now, we have some terrifying surveillance video taken right before the crash on North Torrey Pines Road. First, you will see a car driving by at a normal speed, and then a few seconds later, you'll see Christopher Schmittel's Subaru WRX go by, and it is flying. It almost looks like a rocket. Experts for the prosecution estimate he was going anywhere from 116 to 125 miles an hour when he slammed into the guardrail and hit multiple rocks before landing on the beach last April, killing Johnny Punzalan and Joshua Manzanares. And as you heard survivor Aaron McCray say, he had to be cut out of the car by firefighters. His recovery process was painful. He broke down crying on the stand talking about it. The court took a short break so he could compose himself. Other loved ones that is, were in the courtroom crying too. McCray testified earlier that night they had been driving down Ortega Highway, which is a 2-lane mountainous road, and Schmittel was going more than 100 miles an hour. Prosecutors played Instagram video taken by one of the passengers showing Schmittel weaving in and out of the oncoming lane of traffic. So the speeding, the erratic driving, coupled with the drinking and the drugs, prosecutors closed with this.
The defendant murdered Johnny and Josh. He took their lives because he cared more about looking cool. He cared more about getting high, getting drunk, and racing his car than anyone else's lives on the road that night. As a result, the Punzalan and Manzanares families have paid the ultimate price.
Now, the judge had the option to bind this case over for trial, but on gross vehicular manslaughter charges, and that's what Schmittel's defense attorney argued for. He said, this was a group of kids, a group of teenagers who admitted to going around drinking, racing Schmittel's car. They were in that car voluntarily that night. They weren't being held against their will, but the judge disagreed. He said Schmittel was acting as if he wanted the night to end in catastrophe. He said this case warrants a murder charge. Heather and Carlo.
Boy, Kelly, the details in this are so tough to hear. What was the judge's reaction in the courtroom? Or let me ask you this. What was the reaction to the judge's ruling in the courtroom, rather?
Yeah, and so I was seated in front of some of the loved ones of the victims, and I heard one of them say thank you after the judge made that ruling. As for Schmittel's parents, they were seated across the courtroom from me, and I could see that they were crying. This is their son. He's only 20 years old. He got in a crash that killed 2 of his friends, and now he is facing murder charges, which could send him to prison for anywhere from 30 years to life.
Ramifications for that senseless tragedy just keep coming. Kelly Hessedal reporting for us. Thanks, Kelly.